The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomasz Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business. From $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters at Real Estate Marketing, Ardor SEO.
Welcome to the Icons of Real Estate. I'm Tim Calloway. We have a very special guest for you today, Pasha Esfandiary. He is the co-founder and managing principal of Evoke Capital. Evoke Capital primary objective is helping others achieve financial freedom through real estate investing. Pasha, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on, Timothy.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to it. You're gonna make us all rich, right now.
I hope so. Yeah.
Next 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. I got the magic formula. There you go.
That's awesome, because I've been looking for it for 52 years. So, but no, really. No, that's good. I'm excited to hear what's going on over at Evoke and how you do it. So why don't we just go ahead and start at the beginning? How did you get, and I know there's a story there because I did a little due diligence on you. How did you get started in real estate and then eventually, starting Evoke?
Yeah, absolutely. I truly think that I took on my father's dream. Really, from as a child, I've always wanted to get in real estate. I don't know where it came from, but I always knew that my end game was real estate. And the reason why I say I think it was my father, because we migrated here from Iran when I was 3 years old. And my father was very successful back in Iran. But when he came to the States, he had to work odd jobs. He had to work as a host and a manager at restaurants and 2 jobs at once. And so he just had to put food on the table for his 2 children. But I always remember very distinctly, every time we drove past a home that sold in the last 5 years, he goes, I should have bought that home, and I should have bought that land, and just always in such infatuation with real estate and the wealth it could provide. So I think along the way, just kind of hearing my father say that, I think as a child, you're so impressionable, and right. I just took it on. I just took it on as his dream, and and still to this day, like, my father's my biggest fan, and anytime I do anything in real estate, he's just like so happy for me, and so
that's awesome.
I'm pretty sure that's where I got it from. Yeah,
that's fantastic. I love hearing that. So tell me about who your target audience is. Are we talking about an accredited investors, or is it run the gamut?
Yeah, it's accredited investors. I really, really wish that the laws were different here in the US, that anyone could invest, but I understand why you have to go against accredited investors, because everything that happened in the financial depression in the 20s.
Sure.
But if I could open it up to everybody, I would, just because I really feel like financial literacy is a really big portion of education that we really need. But yes, I target accredited investors. What we do at Evoke is we target mobile home parks in the Midwest inefficiently, mom and pop brand. And if you consider mobile home parks a niche within a niche, a niche, then we're a niche within inside of that niche, because we target secondary, tertiary markets. We stay underneath institutional money, and we do the dirty work that a lot of people don't want to do with mobile home parks.
Yeah. I would think that. Yeah, because I do talk to a lot, and they'll say almost polar opposite, like, we don't do mobile home parks. And I always thought, I go, well, I know, just I live in the South, right? I live in Florida. I'm from Texas. So if you think of 2 states and the states in between that have quite a few mobile home parks, as I can see in your list, Huntsville, Tuscaloosa, places like that. And I lived in Arizona, so all these places. So there's definitely opportunity there, and obviously it's working. It's working out pretty well for you. So as long as we are talking about the properties, how do you go about finding your properties? And you don't have to give away the secret sauce if you don't want, but how do you find the properties, and how do you vet the properties?
Yeah, I think one thing I do want to address that I think is really important is that throughout my career, even before this, when I played poker professionally and now into real estate, I will go where there's less competition. And I firmly believe the more headaches you solve, the more you'll get rewarded in the back end.
Right.
And that's what led me to mobile home parks, is higher yields. But man, like up front, it's a lot more work and there's stigmas around it. But there's always opportunities and margins within that. So I just, that was really important. And then can you repeat that question
Yeah.
again as well?
How do you go about finding and vetting
Oh yeah.
the properties? Yeah. That was a long question.
No, you're good. So, we're still traditional over at Evoke. I'm still all about broker outreach. I have relationships with brokers. Most of the deals at mobile home parks are through brokers. And so all of our deals to date have been off-market deals from brokers. And so we haven't created a division inside of our company yet to go off market campaigns. We're still not there yet because we're finding most of our deals and most of our high yielding properties are coming from brokers. And that's what we'll keep attacking. So I'm old school that way.
Right.
And the way we vet it is, I think, really like any other deal. I mean, you're going to get the financials and the expenses and the P&Ls, all the T12s and all that. And you're going to do your mathematical due diligence. And then once you end up getting it in and it fits your formula, we're going to go there and just go really, really hard on our due diligence, right? And I think I'm sure there's a ton of people who do, but we're pretty diligent inside of our due diligence process. My partners are amazing at what they do. And we always go vet it, and we always go to the properties, just like any other deal, I would say.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic. So you have a lot of boots on the ground then.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We built out a good team over here at Evoke.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So tell me about are you, so this is basically a way to get passive returns, correct? Passive investing.
Absolutely. I think the biggest key in mobile home parks, I think really the biggest investment thesis that I really catapulted my career in real estate investing is understanding the game within commercial real estate. It's for me, it's this. You get into a property, you force the appreciation in the equity, and you get your money back out by recapitalizing through typically a refi process. And then after that, you can be cash flowing in perpetuity after that. And then maybe 7 years down the line, you can refi as well. So really, this is a cash flow play along with recapitalizing your initial investment so that you could go recycle into another property. And I may not make as much money as the other investors or operators who go and sell their products faster to make that faster buck short term. But I bet you 20 years down the line, once I have my hand on so many assets that's appreciating with time, I'm going to crush it.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. So tell me a little bit about, well, let's say this, and this is a hard question. It's a hard question for me to ask, Pasha. So, and I know you're thinking, holy crap, what could this be? But it's not that hard of a question, but some people don't like answering. On a day-to-day basis of it, if I came out, visited you, and we had beverage of our choice, at a local restaurant, and we're just kicking back, we're talking, you're telling me about how you got started, same conversation we're having now, and I said, Posh, there's got to be something on a day-to-day basis that you're trudging around having difficulty with, and or it's just an ongoing fight for you, but I could solve that problem. What would it be? If I just had a magic wand and I was like, Posh, I could solve this problem right now, what would that be? Or is there a problem? Is it just that smooth right now?
No, nothing's ever smooth. There's always
Right.
ways to systemize and improve and optimize on. The first thing that came to my mind is I wish I had more deals to buy because the money is out there, even in the recession that we have. But I know that will come with time. The more brokers that I speak to, the more brokers that we connect with, that will come with time. And it feels like an easy answer, so I'm not going to give that. And I really think it's finding the right fits within the organization. Finding rock stars as employees, I think, is the most difficult piece of the puzzle to find, because I know with time what I'm building, what we're doing, we're going to get the results we want. And so being able to grow with certain people and individuals who can really help propel the business, help prepare that job description, I think is probably the hardest part to find.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So tell me about the next, 1, 3, and 5 years. And you kind of alluded to it right there. like finding more brokers to work with, finding more deals. Um, what's the 1, 3, and 5 year plan? How big do you want to get? How big, how much can you manage? Or how much do you want to manage? I guess there's always the can, right?
Yeah.
How much do you want to manage? What's the goal here?
Yeah. So we just launched a fund earlier this year. Probably about 4 months ago. We've already raised up 7.5 million in that fund so that we can help us scale.
Mhm.
We're about 1,200 lots and units now, and we've only really started, I want to say, about 14 months ago, really starting with Evoke. So we've been able to scale conservatively with the properties we're able to find. I would say in the 1 year, it's all about systemization, optimizing the business internally as we're implementing pieces of the puzzle and growing out who has what job descriptions. I think you can always optimize that continuously. And secondly, really, if you use unit count as a measure, I would say about the 3-year mark, we want to be close to that 5,000 lots. I know for sure we have an end goal of about 15,000 pads total for Evoke. We plan on being in here for the next 10, 15 years easily.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and that's pretty good size. I would say 15,000 pads.
Yeah, we'd be a
But
big player.
yeah, I mean, if you don't mind me asking, who's in this area of real estate? Who are your competitors? I mean, I want to mention
They're
the podcast, and it's okay. But what are they looking like as far as number of pads, if you even know that?
Yeah, I think my next closest competitor to here's the thing, for what exactly we do, there's a lot of great mobile home park operators,
Right,
but everyone tax things and sees things a little different for what we do. I
right.
know of one other operator that attacks the same kind of properties we do, but they sell the properties after 3 to 5 years,
Okay,
whereabouts we keep all of our properties.
okay,
Um, and so I don't know who's all there. Like I said earlier in the call, well, I'm a niche within a niche of what we
right.
attack, and I don't, because
Great.
what we're doing is it's lauded with a lot of headaches up front, man.
Yeah,
It's a lot of operational intensity, and that's why I keep saying we're building out our people and our systems, always continuously get better with our operations, because it's so time intensive up front in what we do. But we're also getting higher yields and higher rewards because of it.
yeah. I mean, isn't that the case though? I mean, you're being very granular. You've dug down, dug deep, not doing what everybody else is specifically doing. Because trust me, I talk to a lot, and
Yeah.
I hear a lot. So this is really probably for what you're specifically doing. You're probably one of the first I've spoken with in
Yeah.
250 episodes. So
Yeah. That's amazing. We're a niche
congratulations,
within a
guys.
niche.
If I had a
Thank
horn,
you.
I'd blow the horn and confetti would
Yeah.
fall. But no, Pasha, I mean that's I think that's awesome. And I really having come from investing in mobile homes myself
Mhm.
in the past, I don't probably understand the full scope of what goes through, but I know what I had to go through
Right.
simply because of what they are and where they're located and things like that. So yeah, bravo to you for really making it or becoming a bigger player or a big player in that area.
Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to invest, how do they get in touch with you? Is it directly at the website, or is there another way?
Yeah. The easiest way is if you go to my website, evocapital.net, there's an investor portal. You can sign up with the information on there. As soon as you sign up, I'll personally reach out to you, connect with you, and then always happy to jump on a one-on-one call with you. I still do that with all my
That's
investors.
awesome.
I like I said, I'm old school. I'm relationship oriented. That's the best way to get a hold of me and see if you want to invest.
I noticed, and we'll put all the details obviously in with the podcast as well.
Mhm.
So I also noticed, Posh, that you have some multifamily, right? You have some
Yes.
complexes and things like that. So or do you find those deals the same way that you're finding the pad deals, the mobile home deals? Is it someone bringing you those deals on the ground, or do you guys have a methodology? Or because I've heard a lot of methodologies to finding multifamily, right? Because there's
Yeah.
a lot of them out there. Um, what's your methodology, or how are you finding those deals?
Again, we bought those very early on when we first started
Okay.
Evoke. and we shy away from, we're not actively looking for apartment complexes.
Gotcha.
But in the market that we are in, because we own about close to, like I believe close to 400 units in Wichita, Kansas.
Right.
If the brokers who know me bring a deal that makes sense, I'll go ahead and buy it, right? But we are strictly 100% focused on mobile home parks
That's
as
awesome.
Evo Capital.
Okay.
So, I'm not going to say no to a good deal, but I understand how much more difficult, at least from our standpoint, apartment complexes are compared to mobile home parks. So we shy away from apartment complexes now.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that, and that I think that's fantastic. So I'll go ahead and ask about overall, and you just ballpark. I don't need specifics. You may have them, but returns. You said they're a little bit better than the norm.
Yeah,
If you compare it, go ahead. If if you can discuss returns a little bit and how those have been over this past year.
sure. So, it's quite, in every fund or syndication, I think the average retail investor is getting about or promised about a 16 to 18% IRR return, right? That's pretty normal.
Yeah.
On average, all of the properties on the investor level were able to return above a 20% IRR return.
Nice.
And our cash flows, obviously we offer an 8 pref right off the gate. That's not waiting a year or so. That's right out the gate. As soon as you invest, you're getting an 8 pref as soon as we're deploying all your capital
Right.
on that. And we're about to, we're always double digits cash flow within year 2 in all of our properties typically. So you can count on, and this is, it's a fund, there's a lot of deals, but you can count on at least a 10% average cash on cash, if not more. And you're looking at over a 20% IRR pretty standardly for us.
Yeah.
But that's because of the markets that we're in and what we attack.
Right. Any markets in the mobile community, when I say markets, geographically, that you won't tackle?
Yes. California, New Jersey, Colorado, and New York. We will not touch.
You want to talk about that?
I'll elaborate. Sure. Well, typically because they lean to be more blue states. Sure. And there's always a threat of statewide rent control, which I think is the biggest risk factor for the mobile home park industry. There's a lot, unfortunately, no matter what you do, when there's money to be had, there's a lot of bad actors in this space. And unfortunately, and unfortunately as well, but mostly unfortunately for some operators, they go in there and they'll jack up the tenant's rent 100%. right out the gate. And that's not really fair to the tenants. While we have a margin that we do in comparison to their lot rent maximum, we never want to get on the news. We want to be able to sleep at night. So this is why a lot of these actors will go and buy these properties. You'll hear on the news and they'll jack up the rents by 100%. The tenants are like, okay, I can't afford this. And so they just lose their home, which isn't right.
Yeah, that's not right at all. Yeah, nobody wants that. No. Yeah, so there's so many questions I have, and we only have a few minutes left before we end up. So I don't want to, ask the wrong question. When it comes to dollars invested, right? Mm-hmm. What are you putting in as far as capital on your part? What is the average deal size, and what are you looking? I talk about $70 million deals sometimes, and then I talk about $10 million deals sometimes.
Right.
Where is your sweet spot? And I know we kind of alluded to it earlier, but what is, on a day-to-day basis, Pasha's walking around going, I need this $30 million deal, or whatever that number is.
Yeah, no, our sweet spot is the strike point of a strike price about $3 to $7 million.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, on the properties that we buy. So because that way we are able to get the margins that we are. It hasn't been ran by an institution before. It's all mom and pop sellers. So that's where we're finding that's our sweet spot, where it's scalable, plus we're hitting high margins and it's away from institutional money.
Right. Any inroads or kind of hard head issues that you hit when investing in some of these deals? And I'm gonna just real quick, Posh, preface it by saying when I purchased some mobile homes, I ran into to invest and to lease out, I
Yeah.
ran into issues, local issues, and this was in the state of Louisiana, state of Texas, and where I ran into issues about being able to insure the lots. Do y'all
Mhm.
don't any run into any of that, or is that outside the
No, we don't really run into that. There's every single property is different.
different?
Every single property has its own set of unique headaches, right?
Right.
And it really depends on the geographical area that we buy it from. Some municipalities are a lot tougher to work with.
Yeah.
Some are don't really care what you do. Um, so everyone is unique. I think the biggest thing we look for, we're always cleaning up every single property that we go in. There's always bad actors in almost every mobile
Yeah.
home park that we purchase that we have to do some cleanup.
Right.
I think the biggest hurdle we run into is finding good brokers to help with our infill projects. And we recently essentially got scammed for $10,000 on one of our properties because someone promised us some mobile homes and they're just not giving it us back to them, or giving it us back to us.
Right.
That's really what, and finding talent to fix up our properties, right? So,
Right.
and I think that's pretty nationwide though,
That's
to
across the
find
board.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's across the board. So that's really the most difficult part, is being able to source these homes and infill projects.
Do you bring in your own property management team, or how does that operate? I know on other deals with multifamily, sometimes they'll bring in their own teams to run the complex. Anything
Yeah.
like that, or you take who's
Yes.
yeah.
No, we are the property managers. We want full
Okay.
control, specifically for how much work has to happen. They have to follow our systems and our standards of what we do.
Wow.
Yeah.
So are you in these so when you go out and get a new property, say there's 100 pads, I'm just
Mhm.
making up a number. So you're really from the ground floor hiring all new property manager on? Do you bring people from other ones, or
Yeah. So we have a tendency to take over whoever was already managing at the ground level, because we
right,
always have an eyes and ears on there. Anything that's about 100 over, we do have a full-time on-site manager, but on some of the smaller properties, we'll have somebody we work with. At the end of the day, once you're able to systemize the
mm-hmm,
property, it doesn't take that much to run. There's just a ton of
right,
upfront work.
right,
And we've also got our processes down pretty tight, and I kudos to my team for this, is that as long as they work within our system, we have all the back end support and staff that they need. So
right,
everything gets outsourced back to us. They just need to be our eyes and ears. They need to take pictures, videos, tell us anything that's going on, put out notices. Other than that, we've streamlined everything. So it really has
nice.
kind of, yeah. So at the end of the day, it's all been us essentially. We won't get another property management company in there, because we found in our past they will never work up to our standards the way we like them to.
Yeah, and that's almost true just about everything, right? Every
Yeah.
real estate deal. And I will say this on your behalf, Posh,
Mhm.
having invested on a small scale compared to you, I made a ton of money. So, so if you're
Yeah,
an
good.
investor, and that's why I was so intent about, okay, specifics about the properties and things like that,
Mm,
because they are, and I like how you've granulated it down, dug deep, because they are a great investment. Like I
yeah,
said, you're one of 250 podcasts I've done, and no one
yeah,
has said this is our sweet spot in mobile home, and we don't want anything else. I get the
yeah.
opposite. Oh, we got a couple of mobile homes. I can't wait to get rid of them. I'm going to sell them in 2 years. Oh, okay.
We
Gee, I
love
made
it,
a lot
man.
of
We
money.
love the space. Yeah.
God, I think that's great, man. I look forward to maybe in the next 3, 6, 9 months talking to you again about it.
I hope so.
Yeah, and kind of seeing where you're at, and maybe having another discussion about it. Posh, I always let my guests, have the last word, take us out, and anything on your heart, your mind, your soul, whatever it may be. It could be business, it could be family, doesn't matter. But take a minute or two and take us out and tell us what you're thinking.
Yeah, I mean, nothing really popped in my mind that's really monumental, but I just remember there's this one quote that I got from a mentor of mine. He said that there are no shortcuts in life, and the true way to wealth is get rich slow. You know, keep building, buying assets, keep letting time do the work. We're going to keep printing money as an economy, buy good assets, let it pay for themselves, and let time and the economy do what it does. And that's just going to inflate with time.
Yeah, that's good sage advice, man. Pasha Esfandiary, thank you so much. Evoke Capital.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for being on the show, and I look forward to talking to you again.
I appreciate it, Tim. Thank you.